Hey everybody!
Hey!
Welcome to #Pastorbesties. I'm Nicole.
I'm Melissa.
And we have a special guest today.
We do. We have our Northern Illinois Conference resident bishop, Bishop Sally Dyck, is with us. We're excited to have her today to share with us. She's sort of famous.
Totally.
Aren't all bishops sort of famous?
At least to Methodists.
Yeah. So we're excited to have you with us today and to share with us today. In today's episode, we're going to talk about everyone's favorite topic, self-care.
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 Today on
#Pastorbesties. Oh, self-care.
Yeah.
That is a tough topic for clergy.
And why do you think
like.
that's a tough topic?
Ooh, I think that a lot of clergy tend to put a lot of other things before themselves.
So basically, I think that we don't do it well.
No.
I think that's why it's a tough topic.
Right.
Do we really even understand what self-care is?
I think it's a really good question because it's kind of a buzzword right now. Oprah talks about self-care, so self-care is something that's kind of a buzzword. So I think
So
that might be
Oprah's on it.
we should be
If
doing
Oprah's
it.
on it, you know.
You have to be doing
You
it.
have to be doing it.
Yeah. I think of self-care as kind of the whole body, mind, spirit of it's all of those things together. And sometimes I really don't do well at one, and I might be doing okay at another, but
It's hard to get them all going, body,
Yeah.
mind, spirit. And I would add relationships. You know, your family, your friends.
yeah.
Sometimes I think that's maybe one of the most, I don't know if you can prioritize them, but it's a pretty critical dimension of self-care that I do think gets overlooked. So you don't nurture your own spirit by spending time with people who aren't just taking from you.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, self-care is a constant balance. So I always ask my parishioners to pray for me to have the work-life balance, or work and family life balance. And I know that when I stop working on that balance is when I fall off balance. So it's a constant, I think for the rest of my life, just something to struggle with, a tension between the two.
So I have a problem with the word balance.
Okay, tell me.
Yeah.
So I think balance is what totally throws us off, so to speak. Because as soon as, you think you're balanced, imagine yourself like a gymnast on a balance beam. As soon as a little breeze goes by, you're off balance.
Right.
Okay? It takes nothing to get you off balance. The word that I've read in some of the self-care stuff that I really resonate with, and partly because I have musician tendencies, is rhythm. And rhythm's something I think is easier for us to get our heads around because, first of all, that there's spaces between the notes.
I feel like this is going to be really great. I'm like hanging on every word.
Well, there's spaces between the notes, and that sometimes, like if you look at a whole, one of the great classical musicians, writers, composers, they have this really big, bold section, and then they usually have a little quieter section, and then they'll come back with something almost staccato-like, And so, again, even within one larger piece, it's got really different rhythms.
Life as a song, which I love.
Yeah. And so, for me, it helps with rhythm because I know that sometimes it's all staccato, but, when do you get to the slower, more melodic, almost?
Right.
Or melodic and a different, more soothing melody.
Right.
And you can't always stay in that. You will go into the next big, bold Sunday morning.
Right.
Advent, Christmas,
Yes.
Lent, Easter.
Yeah.
But then in between, a different kind of rhythm.
It's sort of like
I
a
love
musical.
Yeah.
I was thinking like Hamilton. I don't think we haven't made a Hamilton reference yet today. But
We just got started.
But like you've got like some of the rap songs, like you've got the Reynolds pamphlet, which moves then into burn. So you've got this like hard song and then it's this melodic. So it's sort of like it's
every
telling a story.
musical is like that.
Right.
Every overture, every...
Well, and how boring would it be if we stayed all up here all the time? And that's what happens when we do that. We become, I want to say boring, but burn out. We get burnt out of that
And
rhythm
you are
of life.
Sure.
And then we are boring.
That's true. That's true.
Yes.
So it's, it really is sort of the classical piece. Big, bold, more soothing, kind of, I like to call it staccato. That's not the technical term.
I get that though.
And it just, for me, it just describes life really well.
I love that.
Yeah.
And see, and balance too. It always feels like I'm expecting to be balanced when it is impossible to be balanced. There's hurricane force winds. There's no way I can be balanced.
Right.
But I think even in the midst of, those kinds, all the things that are coming down, what's the rhythm here? What's the rhythm? What's the cadence?
So then how do you make sure that you have those melodic times in life? Because ministry demands so much of this up here. How do you force yourself or force a melodic time in your life when you feel like you're being demanded of up here?
Well, and again, I think it's the rhythm then makes you have to be aware of what's going on. So, we become sort of the big, bold, or staccato junkies. Oh, everybody likes the big pieces. So that when you even have an afternoon, let's just say an hour, this happened to me yesterday. I was like, I should be doing more.
Right.
Well, the rhythm is, yesterday afternoon, I could have an hour or two of not doing more.
Right.
But I'm so addicted to the big, bold staccato that, so you have to get in touch more with the rhythm of what's happening and to sing with that rhythm. I mean, imagine if Carole King in Beautiful, sang some other rhythm to one of those really melodic songs. It'd be ridiculous.
Right. I was
ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
That's true.
It's true. I was just on vacation a couple weeks ago, and the first day of vacation, I was driving to my esthetician, and I was driving and just started sobbing. I mean, I was listening to Adele, so I mean that may have a little bit to do with that. And my sister thought maybe it was just because I was going to see my esthetician. She was like, because sometimes brow waxes hurt. I was like, no. What I was realizing, I think these are the conversations I have. But what I was realizing is I had been holding my breath for so long that all of a sudden I had to figure out how to breathe again. And so it was that moment.
That's
of,
rhythm too.
How do I breathe? And then the first day back from vacation, the first thing I did was go, all right, let's go, and jump in without being like, whoa, you just learned how to breathe again. Breathe.
Right.
And how do you breathe during the big, bold, and staccato so that you're not totally breathless by the time you get to the other rhythms?
Yeah.
And how do you find those other little rhythms in the midst of it?
So you've been both in the local church ministry and administrative, and now as a bishop. What's the rhythm difference for you? What have you discovered?
Well, actually, in some respects, the local church, I always found, kind of had a more of a predictable rhythm.
Yeah.
Big seasons.
Big seasons, you just know, give it up for December, or or it's Wednesday because it's the ladies' Bible study. I should be this far along on my sermon, by the way. And, there's kind of some predictability to it.
Yeah.
Not so much with this job. Like yesterday, I was working on the first 3 sermons of September because there will be no other time to do that.
Right.
So, I mean, I know other people do planning or whatnot, but there just won't be any time. So, you have to really think ahead in order to survive. But it's just less predictable. You don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
Well, a question that I have for all of us really is, when was a time in recent days when you've just failed spectacularly at self-care?
Hey, Nicole, remember when we had kidney stones?
You both had kidney stones?
Yes.
At the
Yeah.
same time?
It was
Not
a year
the same
apart.
time.
Oh, okay.
But-
That would have been too weird.
I know. It's still really weird. We're
It is,
pretty
yeah.
young for kidney stones.
Right.
Drinking
Yeah.
water.
We don't drink enough water.
Working on it. So, I mean, it's definitely a fail.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Right.
fail.
Right.
I guess you've learned from that one. I don't know.
You should. It's really not. It's pretty painful. I think I feel like I'm constantly in a state of fail. I feel like it's either my job, I'm doing really well at my job and I'm failing my family, or I'm doing really great with my family and I'm failing at my job, or I'm failing at like time just for me. Because I think that's just being a mom, period.
Yeah.
But with two little ones, it's hard to find a rhythm that works in a job that's as unpredictable, I feel like, as being a pastor is. Because, you know, one phone call and your
It's
whole
a
week
whole
can
week.
be out the window.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know that I have like a specific example, even though I asked the question. But I feel like it's just always, I don't know, it's always going on. It's always, I feel like I'm always right on the brink of failing, which is not good, but it is what it is, I guess.
Right.
How about you, Bishop? Had a
Well-
fail recently?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think just even what I was saying about yesterday, it's like I could have really enjoyed an hour or two.
Yeah.
As opposed to,
Right.
oh, you know, I should be doing more.
Mhm.
Well, I think for these 2 hours I probably don't have to. And so then you miss, and again, you sort of like you missed the rhythm.
Right.
And I think that is a big fail.
Right. I find, like, especially in the afternoon when you've been working all day and you have that time, that you could just even take a half hour to not do
Exactly.
Yeah.
anything, but instead you try to push in more work, but you don't really get anything done because you're exhausted. And then you're like, why didn't I just take some time to go, you know, walk outside or something? Yeah, why don't we do that?
Yeah.
Well, then there's the guilt factor too. I mean, a feeling
Yes, that's-
guilty. Yeah, it's hard to find that rhythm. Sometimes when it feels like, I mean, I think for me, sometimes it feels like there's different conductors. So there's a church conductor who's saying this is what the song is, and then there's family conductors who's like, no, the song is over here. And then there's me who's like, no, I know the song better than you do, so I've got it over here. And so it feels like that we're really talking about three different songs.
We could really go with this whole music.
I think you could.
Yeah.
You should write a book about that.
I think we should.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't going to invite us into it, but all right.
I think we could totally do
How
this.
fun. It would have to be a book on tape.
Exactly. Good point. With lots of rhythm.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So with that kind of, for me, feeling like that sometimes there's different conductors. As clergy, how would you encourage clergy to work on that rhythm? And then not just clergy, but also our churches. I mean, how do we also encourage our congregations to find
Right.
their own rhythms, and not just as a church, but as people? How do we fix all that? Not fix it. How do we do it?
Well, again, I think we all need to think about what self-care really is, and self-care versus being busy. Because if a church is busy, then it must be vital. But is it busy doing the right things?
Right.
And, you know,
It's a tough question.
I even wonder sometimes about some of the events we create during Advent or Lent has its gravitas. I think there's less frivolous things that happen then, but still, even year round, it's like, what are the right things to be doing? And we just get so caught up in being busy, and I'm important if I'm busy.
Right.
And I think churches feel that way. I think clergy feel that way. People don't value us as clergy anymore like they used to. So if we're really, really busy, then surely we must be important.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I guess that's one of the things I've always appreciated about Eugene Peterson, is that he really resists that kind of evaluation of our ministry, you know, in terms of some of his writing, and you know, it's the deeper things. I mean, that's not shirking your responsibility to really be the one who's engaged in helping people think about the deeper things, having deeper conversations, and it may be not in a church building,
Mm-hmm.
even with your church people, you know, it's
Right.
and so I think that whole busyness thing is something that we probably need to think about in terms of our own lives, how we find value in what we do, church's life, how it finds value in what it does, and really testing more. It's like, is this really vital to your celebration of Advent and Christmas?
Mm-hmm.
Or what would be?
Do you feel like as an Episcopal leader that you have responsibility in helping churches with that balance? I mean, rhythm, or you know what I mean? Because it is such an issue, I feel like, that clergy burnout is, I mean, it's really scary, the numbers.
Yeah.
So-
And the low morale, which is
Right.
something that we've discovered
Yes.
through the what we've been doing in our annual conference. Yeah, I mean, I think that is because, again, I think sometimes there's this other thing about it that I know for myself. Maybe you can relate, maybe not. It's like, okay, I expect to be free next Friday. Friday's going to be my day off, okay? And then something big happens.
Yeah.
Or something big,
Right.
even worse. Like, you know, when bad stuff happens, as a clergy person, you almost never feel bad about being going out there and taking care of what needs to be done. This is really important ministry. It's usually the one-off. You know, something bad happened on Thursday,
Yeah.
which means now you have to catch up on
Yeah.
Friday.
Yeah.
And that one's harder, right?
Mhm.
It's a one-off.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I was so hoping that would be the day I would just, I don't know, walk in the woods or do whatever. I never do. But, and then you're disappointed. And then you're resentful.
Right.
And then it's like anti-self-care. It's just the opposite. Whereas you really could do the same thing on Monday, but you're just like so mad.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, again, I think that's why rhythm works for me a little better. Okay, missed a beat there, but where am I going to catch up on that beat?
Right.
There's still only so many beats to the measure here, and I'm gonna catch that beat somewhere else.
Right.
Well, and then you have the added layer of when that happens, and it's not only you that's disappointed, but you let
You
down
may
your
disappoint
family or
somebody else.
disappoint a friend that you can't meet with now, and then the guilt piles back on you because you're like, this is, I have to write a sermon. When
Yeah.
else am I going to write
I
it?
really hate standing up there not having anything to say.
Right.
That is not self-care.
One of my mentors in the ordination process once said, you're going to disappoint someone in ministry all the time. It's just a matter of spreading the disappointment around. So sometimes you're going to disappoint yourself. Sometimes you're going to disappoint your family. Sometimes you're going to disappoint the annual conference. Sometimes you're going to disappoint the church. Just don't disappoint the same person all the time. And I was like, oh,
That's kind of good
it's
advice.
helpful.
That's
It's
really good
helpful.
advice. It's hard to think about because as a people pleaser, which is like the worst in ministry, I don't ever want to disappoint anybody.
Right.
But it's fact. It's going to happen. So I like it. It's good advice, but I don't like it.
Right.
I'll take it, but I don't like it.
Oh, self-care. So I mean, it's something that's important to work on because we're in this for the long haul. Like this is a marathon, not a sprint.
I think it's important for us to continue the conversation
Mm-hmm.
all the time because
Yeah.
when we stop talking about it, we fall out of rhythm and
Right.
then we stay up
One
there.
last thing about self-care. I mean, self-care isn't just flopping on the couch. It really is being intentional about doing that which you need in body, mind, spirit, or relationship, because those often go together. And so I can't just collapse. I really need to make sure that whatever moments I have, I do it in such a way that it truly is caring for myself.
And making sure that you have energy for the other things, because I can hang out with my kids on a Friday night, exhausted from the week, and watch a movie. But am I really giving them my best energy? No. Am I ever giving them my best energy, or does that always go to the church? That's something I think as clergy we really have to think about, because it's true. A day off for me, man, if I could just sit on the couch, yes, that's awesome. But is it really self-care?
Is that really
Probably
gonna
not.
is
That's
that
probably-
really gonna nurture you?
Right.
Right. That's just recovery.
Right.
That's not
Yeah.
self-care.
No.
And occasionally recovery is necessary. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Well, and sometimes it can be self-care, but it can't always be
Right.
self-care.
But right.
So, share your thoughts on self-care
Yes.
using the hashtag Pastorbesties.
Like and subscribe
Make
to
sure
our
you like and
YouTube
subscribe
channel.
to our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you,
My
Bishop.
pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you.
So may you remember that what we do is important. No matter who you are, no matter where you are, that your life is important. And so, to quote my friend, Rob Bell,
Bestie.
we're not really friends, but
Yeah, but when you know his podcasts go right into your ears, it's just
It
hard
just
not to
feels
think
like-
that we are are friends.
we took a selfie together. We're friends. So to quote Rob Bell, may you realize that sometimes you have to stop, take a breath, and realize that you signed up for a revolution.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.